Welcome everyone to a new coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich, I'm a former McKinsey consultant. Today I will talk about one of the most common mistakes that young leaders, young professionals, people working in consulting or also in industry are doing. It's a mistake that many people confuse with having been the victim of corporate politics. But no, if this happens to you, it's not due to politics, but it's on you. It's a mistake that you made. I trust it is going to be juicy and extremely relevant for every young professional out there. So in this fictive scenario, there is a team lead who worked on an important new initiative over the last weeks. Now there's this meeting where this person is presenting the progress and also the way forward on his or her initiatives to the senior leaders of the organization. But now what happens? These senior leaders actually criticize the approach. They do not agree with the proposed action plans. They do not agree with what is being presented to them at this point in time. And indeed, due to this, the whole meeting is derailed. And of course, also the reputation of the person presenting this will suffer. The standing will take a hit. So does this sound familiar? Think about it. What went wrong? Could that person have done something to prevent this? And I want really to literally stop the video now. Just read through this and reflect on that. What is your opinion on this? Could this person have done something differently to shape this meeting in a way to lead to a better outcome? So let's get into it. What could this person have done? And to better understand that, I first want to look into the typical process that a typical team lead in such a situation will likely go through. And indeed, this process consists of 3 steps. So first, that person will conduct analyses and derive results, often together with the team, to then get to something that can be presented. And indeed, this is then the second step: prepare a presentation, prepare slides, prepare a document. And then of course, in the end, there's the presentation itself, where the pages are being presented and are being discussed in the meeting. So let's go here step by step. Step number 1, what happened here? Well, of course, often information has been gathered by colleagues, other sources, maybe some expert interviews that this person will have conducted. You do this together with the team and then you derive the results together with your colleagues on the topics at hand. Second step, where you structure then all the analyses into some type of presentation document. Of course, hopefully you apply the good slide writing principles, the communication techniques, top-down communication, pyramid principle that we talk about so frequently here on this channel. If all of this says nothing to you, I will link a playlist above here where you will read about more of these topics, watch videos on exactly this. Last but not least, there's a presentation. Of course, often the team lead will deliver this presentation, him or herself, in front of the senior leadership of the organization. And now once again, I want you to pause the video and think about that. Thinking about this approach. Will this likely be successful? Will this likely lead to a good result? In my humble opinion, in my experiences, no, this will not work, right? Because what is the problem? If you do this, this process often leads to negative outcomes, as also shared in the initial example. Why? Because the team lead did not manage to align the results with all the key stakeholders of the organization. Alignment, one of the most important topics in every big corporate, in consulting for sure. It is a topic so common, so important in consulting that it is literally a meme. Here my friends at Consulting Humor prepared this little quote: just had a meeting to align on how we will align with the client during our weekly alignment meeting, right? Alignment, 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 alignment. You will have lots of meetings every week just to align content. By the way, Consulting Humor, really a great channel for humor like this. I will link the socials below in the video description. Check it out. Great content, I can promise you. But why is it so important to align content, align documents before meetings? Let's go over some typical problems that arise if you do not do this, if alignment is missing. Well, first of all, colleagues will likely not have any buy-in in the solution that you present, as they were not involved in the solution process. Next point, valid concerns were not heard and reflected in the solution. Maybe there were really some important things that the senior leaders of your organization were aware of that you just couldn't be aware of. But of course now you don't know because you didn't involve them, you didn't align your solutions, your contents with them. Next, there's the natural tendency to defend the status quo and think about the reasons why proposed change is bad. If you just propose something new, something that will change the status quo, and someone just hears it for the first time, likely the very first reaction will be, nah, probably not. Probably we don't need to do that. Next point, very much related to that. No one likes to be surprised, especially not in front of the colleagues. If you walk into a meeting and suddenly you hear something, see something that is very surprising to you, that you did not expect at all, that's likely not great. And especially if then your other senior colleagues are sitting next to you, because this also just makes you look uninformed, unaware of what is going on in your organization, especially if this was your direct superior and that person didn't even know what you were thinking about, what you were working on. That's just bad, because this also makes that person look bad. Next point, it is also just very generally considered unprofessional. You will be expected that you will have aligned key results with all the key stakeholders, even if maybe the people did not directly task you to do that. That's just an expectation towards the role of a team lead in such an organization. And as I said in the beginning, many people confuse these types of reactions with politics. Oh, that person didn't like me, that person had something against me, that person didn't want me to succeed, right? And pretty much blame it on the culture of the organization. This is not what's going on. You are hiding yourself from the truth. It was your responsibility, it is your responsibility to make sure that these types of alignment errors don't happen. But let's now discuss what this team lead could have done to properly align the results, the contents of the work with the senior leaders, with the stakeholders. How could the person have improved the outcome of this important meeting? And by the way, before we do it, if you took any value out of this video at all so far, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Of course, also subscribe, turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all my content. This is very, very much appreciated. But let's now look at it step by step for all the 3 steps we initially outlined and start with the first one, so to conduct analyses and derive results. And here the mistake that many people do is that they see their colleagues or also their clients just as some data sources. You just walk around the organization, just request information from people, then for you to do the analysis and to do the work. And while of course you do need often this information, this is not to be confused with properly co-creating solutions with the relevant colleagues. So if you are leading such an initiative, very clearly think about what the people are that you want the buy-in from. Think about some appropriate workshop formats or other good ways to directly involve them also in the process to make sure that they feel like they have been part of the solution, that they feel like it was maybe even their idea what you proposed in the end. This often goes a long way. Next, never walk into a meeting with your senior leaders and letting them see the document the first time. But what I mean is that you properly take the time to, in the 1 or 2 weeks before this very important meeting, you meet with all these people one-on-one and you guide them through the document. If it's not the final document because it's not ready yet, then at least the rough outline, the key results that you want to share, and you ask them for their feedback, you ask them for their guidance. And this is of course especially important also in consulting, and potentially especially challenging in consulting, because there not only you need to align the documents with your clients, but you also need to align all the key documents with your internal leadership. And this can be quite challenging because often you end up going in circles, right? So you create a document, align it with the client, then you take the document, show it to your partner, and actually your partner disagrees. The partner thinks, no, this is not what you can do. So you turn around the document, and then you go back with this document to the client. And then the client says, no, I disagree, right? And then this can go really in circles. So that's often quite a pain, especially as a project lead, to moderate all this. And then last but not least, for this presentation in front of the senior leaders, very carefully think about whether you are really the best person to present it. And of course, I understand that maybe you think, it would be great for myself to get this visibility, get the spotlight, present in front of all these senior leaders. But sometimes it might make more sense for potentially a person more senior than you to present it. And this is actually even more important in professional services, where you often usually try that the clients are actually presenting the results of your project, of your work. It's always so much more convincing to, for instance, the board of management of a large company to see that the results are not being presented by external consultants, but internally by the team leads of their own organization. Because this then also to the board shows that this is not just a crazy consulting idea which afterwards people just throw in the bin, but this is something that their own organization really buys into. But now let me know about your experiences. Any crazy anecdotes you can share on aligning or actually not not aligning things in the proper way, let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any other tips on these types of topics. Of course, as always, big thanks to all the members of the channel. Thanks for your support, very much appreciated. My name is Heinrich. I release weekly videos here on the channel. See you again next week. Until then, all the best to you and bye-bye.